Hello. Welcome to Iran's History and Culture channel. We, in this channel, pay attention to the culture and history of Iran. Also, we talk about some points that you might not know about Iran. Therefore, expect to learn a lot. If you would like, you can subscribe our channel and press the bell button, to become aware about new videos that we upload. Hope that you enjoy. After the Afshin Caliphate's invasion of Iran and the occupation of various regions, valiant patriotic figures such as Babak Khorramdin, Maziar, Yaqub ibn al-Layth al-Safari, and other renowned leaders of this land rose up with the support and assistance of the people in the region of Iran to fight against these invaders and break free from the yoke of servitude. Maziar, Afshin, and Babak Khorramdin were close friends and formed a dangerous triangle. A triangle whose goal was to resist the rule of the Abbasid Caliphs. The primary objective was essentially to eradicate the Abbasid Caliphate altogether, so that these caliphs would no longer hold any power over the land and people of Iran. Gradually, however, circumstances shifted a bit. Babak Khorramdin initiated a rebellion called the Red-Shirted Sorkjarmagan uprising in Azerbaijan and achieved significant successes. He was advancing, and the Abbasid Caliphs and their forces were unable to withstand the strength of Babak Khorramdin's forces. When Babak Khorramdin was on his way to celebrate his victory, his close companion Afshin betrayed him. The Abbasid Caliph used Afshin to deceive Babak. Since Babak had trust in Afshin, he fell for this deception and was captured by the Abbasid Caliph. He was executed in the most tragic manner possible. The Abbasid Caliph breathed a sigh of relief and thought that this uprising had come to an end, and all those territories were now under the banner of his power. However, shortly thereafter, another uprising emerged in Tabaristan, located in northern Iran. The leader of this uprising was Maziar, a close friend of Babak Khorramdin. This time, Maziar had two goals: the destruction of the Abbasid Caliphate and avenging the death of his close friend. From the time of Khosrow Anushirvan, the son of Kavad I, the governance of Tabaristan came into the hands of the Karanvand dynasty. In 565 AD, Karan was chosen as the commander of Tabaristan, and later on, the governance and rulership in Tabaristan shifted between different generations. But before that, the Sukra dynasty, which included Karan's father, were rulers of Tabaristan and held significant influence in the region, being considered a factor of influence in the area for generations. For this reason, the ruling dynasty was referred to as the Karanvandian family, all members of which were considered part of the same family, with their origins tracing back to the pure Iranian and Aryan Parsian roots. The descendants of Karan continued to be rulers of Tabaristan until a person named Karan passed away, and Maziar became the ruler of Tabaristan. During Maziar's rule, which coincided with the Abbasid Caliphate, conditions were different. There was another power in the vicinity known as the Bavand dynasty, and a figure named Shahryar was the 11th ruler of the Bavandids. Shahryar gathered his forces and launched an attack on Tabaristan and the regions under Maziar's rule, resulting in a war between them. As a result of this conflict, Maziar suffered defeat and was compelled to leave the region. After his defeat in the war, Maziar sought refuge among one of his own tribes known as the Vanguard. He asked them to gather a force that would aid him in reclaiming Tabaristan. However, Vanguard Umid was a friend of Shahryar. In reality, it was Vanguard Umid who had betrayed Maziar. Shahryar and Vanguard Umid wanted to remove Maziar from that region. Therefore, Vanguard Umid sent a messenger to Shahryar, informing him, "I am keeping Maziar here, and if you send your forces, you can capture him. Put an end to Maziar with the approval of the Karanvandard in Tabaristan, so that they no longer have any power in these regions after all these years. The Karen Vanguard, aside from being influential figures, were also beloved individuals in Tabaristan, and the people of those regions held them in high regard. Before Shahryar could send his forces to arrest Maziar, Maziar got wind of the situation and, using whatever means necessary, managed to leave the region and abandon Tabaristan. He made his way through the mountains to the desert of Iraq and sought refuge with one of his father's friends, Abdullah ibn Sayyid Harashi. Abdullah had a favorable opinion of Maziar and assured him that he would arrange a meeting where Maziar could present his grievances to the Abbasid Caliph. It was possible that Maziar could regain power in Tabaristan. Abdullah created conditions that would allow Maziar to meet with the Abbasid Caliph. On the other hand, within the Abbasid Caliphate, there was an astrologer named Bayezid who the Abbasid Caliph had great faith in. He often stated that anything Bayezid said was true. Bayezid approached the Caliph and said, "I have observed the heavens and studied the stars. The fate of Maziar for ruling over Tabaristan is promising and favorable. If possible, Maziar should be reinstated to power in Tabaristan." The Caliph responded positively to this suggestion and decided to send two individuals to Tabaristan, Maziar and a person named Musa ibn Omar ibn Ali. The Caliph instructed them, "Go to Tabaristan and establish your rule there. Until the situation gets better, I entrust the rule of the mountains and Damiyavand to Maziar, and the rule of the plains and Harmoon to Musa ibn Omar ibn Ali." When Maziar and Musa arrived in the Tabaristan region, they were warmly welcomed by the people, and the people rallied under the banner of Maziar. After some time, Shahryar passed away, and the rule of Tabaristan passed to Shahryar's eldest son, Shapur. Shapur proved to be an inept ruler who oppressed and harassed the people. This led the people to complain about Shapur to the representatives of the Abbasid caliphs who were present in Tabaristan. These complaints reached the ears of the Abbasid caliph, who then ordered Maziar to launch an attack on Shapur and take control of Tabaristan. Maziar, with a powerful force, engaged in battle against Shapur's forces, defeated him, and brought him to justice for his actions. As a result, after a long time, Maziar once again became the ruler of Tabaristan. 4 years later, Musa passed away, and those regions also came under the banner and power of Maziar. Consequently, Maziar had control over extensive territories and managed to maintain a strong force within his grasp. Having achieved what he desired, Maziar now pursued his next move, seeking revenge for the death of his close friend. Shapur's brothers were still alive, and Maziar sent them a letter, stating, "You must pay taxes, and those taxes must also be paid to me, as I am the ruler of all Tabaristan." Shapur's brothers couldn't bear such a demand, as they had recently held these territories and now were being required to pay taxes. Therefore, they complained to the Abbasid Caliph. The Caliph felt betrayed by Maziar's attempt to establish an independent region for himself. Consequently, he ordered his renowned astrologer to travel to Tabaristan, arrest Maziar, and bring him to the Caliphate's capital to face the consequences of his actions. Maziar responded to this situation by stating that he would not come to the Caliphate's capital. Instead, he decided to send two representatives named Ghazi Amal and Ghazi Ruyan. Maziar entrusted these two individuals to deliver his message to the Caliph. When they arrived in Samarra and met with the Caliph, he asked them, "What is the matter? Why is Maziar defying our orders?" Ghazi Ruyan read the letter to the Caliph. In this letter, Maziar declared that he had renounced allegiance and returned to his former beliefs, namely the Mazdaism, and that he would never come to the capital again according to his own will. During his reign, Caliph Abu Ishaq Muhammad ibn Harun al-Rashid al-Ma'mun al-Mutasim Billah made various attempts to deal with Maziar, but he couldn't overcome him. Ultimately, Caliph al-Mutasim Billah passed away, and the caliphate came under the rule of Caliph al-Mu'taz. This caliph employed a different tactic. During that time, Abdullah ibn Tahir was the ruler of Khorasan. Al-Mu'taz sent a message to Maziar, stating that he no longer wanted Maziar to send him the recent year's taxes. Instead, he instructed Maziar to send the taxes to Abdullah ibn Tahir. Abdullah had an Iranian background. Maziar then sent a letter to Caliph al-Mu'taz, stating, "I will not pay taxes to the Tahirids, instead, I will send the taxes directly to Samarra and deliver them to you." In reality, these were part of Maziar's strategy. He didn't intend to pay taxes to either side. He wanted to engage both sides in conflict. His conflict with the Tahirids centered more around the people. The people of Khorasan had a strong affinity for Maziar, and he had significant influence in those regions. The people recognized Maziar as the commander of Khorasan, not Abdullah ibn Tahir. This fact caused resentment in Abdullah as to why Maziar was not involving them in this matter and refused to pay taxes to them. Maziar's next step was to attack the Abbasid forces present in Tabaristan. He launched assaults against them and inflicted heavy defeats on the Abbasid forces in Tabaristan. Maziar understood that he was now fully engaged in a comprehensive war, and sooner or later, the Abbasid caliphs with their powerful forces would move towards Tabaristan. Therefore, he constructed strong forts and walls and fortified Tabaristan to prepare for the imminent conflict with the Abbasid caliphs. He organized his forces and made them ready for the impending battle. One of the rulers of the Tahirids was a man named Hassan ibn Hussein. He also had Iranian ancestry. Kuya, Maziar's brother, told Maziar that Hassan ibn Hussein wanted to come to him seeking refuge because he was also facing problems with the Abbasid caliphs. Maziar fell for his brother's words. Kuya provided Maziar with an address and told him to wait there for Hassan ibn Hussein to bring himself to that location. Maziar went there, but he encountered the Abbasid forces instead and realized that this was all a scheme, with the Tahirids being aware of it too. The Abbasid forces captured Maziar and brought him before Caliph al-Mutasim, who imprisoned him. Then, Afshin visited Maziar and told him that he would help him get out of prison because he had established a good relationship with the Abbasid caliphs. Afshin was the same person who had betrayed Babak Khorramdin, and he was now the ruler of the region of Isfahan. Afshin also betrayed Maziar. He was the one who instigated the conflict between Maziar and the Tahirids. In 840 AD, the torture of Maziar began, following a similar pattern as what happened to his friend Babak Khorramdin 2 years earlier. They placed him on a camel, paraded him from city to city, and had people throw stones at him. Ultimately, the Abbasid caliphs cut off his hands and feet and hanged him. Despite his numerous betrayals throughout his life, served the Abbasid caliphs dutifully. In the end, he fell into the trap of Caliph al-Mutasim and was killed by him. He never managed to regain control over the region of Khorasan. The reason for Afshin's assassination was also the Tahirids. They noticed caravans passing through the Babak fort area filled with gold, jewels, and war spoils, not heading towards Samarra but towards the Isfahan region. They reported this to the Abbasid caliphs, who perceived it as an act of betrayal. Consequently, Afshin faced the consequences of his actions. Ultimately, after the deaths of Maziar, Afshin, and Babak Khorramdin, the Sork Jarmagan uprising came to an end. After the assassination of Maziar, the uprising he had initiated turned into a revolution led by the people. The people actively participated in this movement, and the revolution spread throughout Tabaristan. In this movement, the people expelled all Abbasid forces from the city, a situation previously unheard of. Even some of the Abbasid officials who had married Tabaristani women were either killed by their wives or forced out of their homes. Ultimately, the Abbasid rulers saw the region as a red zone, and they had no secure foothold there. The Abbasid policy towards these uprisings was quite intriguing. In fact, the Abbasids did not directly engage themselves in battles against these movements and uprisings. Instead, they manipulated Iranian leaders and Iranian descendant nobles against each other. This prevented the formation of a unified government and made it difficult for these Iranian individuals to organize a cohesive movement against the Abbasid Caliphate. In the land of Iran, movements were constantly emerging, and as one movement subsided, another would arise in a different region. This pattern continued until the end of this era. If you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like it, and share it with your friends. Do not hesitate to provide your view regarding this video by putting your comments below. Your comments would help us to improve our work, and also, they help us to take your views into account for the future topics that we select. Furthermore, you can subscribe to our channel to become aware of our new videos.